Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, in this lecture, I will be explaining about the forces acting on the retaining wall and the stability checks in wall. As I explained in earlier lectures that the stability is basically for the retaining wall is investigated for the three criteria: the overturning, the sliding, and the bearing. So first you must compute all the forces acting on the retaining wall, and these forces include the weight of the wall components, weight of the back fill, weight of the front fill, active earth pressure, passive earth pressure, surcharge load, and hydrostatic force may or may not be the possibility of this force, as it depends that the water level is higher above the base or it's actually present or not. So if the water table is also present, then you can say that you have to compute the lateral forces due to the water and also the uplift pressure. But more or less the serial number 1 to serial number 5, all the forces are definitely present. So we have to compute all these forces one by one. Against all the forces, the reactions that is developed under the base of the retaining wall, that is we can say as the bearing pressure under the footing. So we have to compute the total forces and the resultant of the forces. And definitely in case of retaining wall, the pressure is not like exactly like footing, but it's somehow different because of the major amount of the lateral force. So we will compute the total bearing pressure under the foundations. And we have to apply the check after computing all the forces. In first case, as I told you about the lateral forces, and these lateral forces are mainly due to the active earth pressure plus surcharge and also the passive earth pressures. If the front fill is also present, then the passive earth pressure is also included. So all these are the lateral forces, and you can see the lateral forces. These are actually present in case of soil. You can compute all this force, and maximum ordinate is developed at the base of the footing. The surcharge is effect lateral effect of the surcharge is UDL throughout, and the effect of the soil, if only one layer is present, its effect is uniformly varying and increasing with the depth. And similarly the passive earth pressure, it is also increasing with the depth. If this is the, let's say, the soil passive earth pressure, and this is 0 at the top and maximum at the base. So how can we compute this force? And I have told you already that the active earth pressure is P active is Ca into gamma h. This maximum ordinate is Ca into gamma of the soil into height of the backfill. What is the ordinate of surcharge pressure? This is Ca into S. S is the surcharge pressure. UDL acting on the soil. This UDL ordinate is S. So Ca into S will be the lateral effect of the vertical surcharge load. And what is the pressure ordinate of this passive earth pressure force? This will be Cp into gamma into H. So Cp is the passive earth pressure coefficient, gamma is the density of the front fill, and H is the height of the front fill. So all these forces are computed as the lateral forces. Next comes the vertical forces acting on the retaining wall. So, and when we talk about the vertical forces, of course, this is a surcharge load, is vertical force. This may or may not be present. It is a highway load, a building load, any construction material load. It is a surcharge on backfill. So its lateral effect is present, and it is critical against overturning. But vertical effect is giving us the restoring effect of surcharge. And then come the weight of the wall, vertical effect, all weight of the wall, weight of the soil, weight of the front fill. All these are the vertical forces. So this one is one vertical force, weight of the soil, front fill, all are computed. And how to compute this force actually? You know that the length of the retaining wall is relatively definitely larger, and we no need to consider the whole length of the retaining wall while we are computing the vertical loadings. And you can just consider the unit length for the retaining wall and just multiplied the cross-sectional area. Let's say you want to compute this vertical force due to the soil. So 1 meter into multiplied by this is the volume, this cross-sectional part. It means that the length of the heel, height of the fill, and density of the soil. And what is the force in the concrete? So density of the concrete multiplied by the thickness of the stem multiplied by the height of the stem. And what is the weight of the surcharge? The surcharge pressure multiplied by the length of the heel. And what is the vertical effect of front fill? The front fill will be the gamma of the soil into height of the front fill multiplied by the length of the stope. So these dimensions are already decided, and accordingly we can compute all these forces. And we are computing not only the vertical forces for the unit length, but at the same time the lateral pressure is also computed for the unit length. So next comes the overturning. Now, which forces out of all these forces which were computed to be considered against the overturning effect? So the overturning forces are, this is the point of the overturning, and we know that all the forces which are responsible for producing the overturning effect are the surcharge plus soil. So these two forces already computed. We will compute the moment arm of these forces. One surcharge moment arm, this is the surcharge moment arm, and the second one is the soil moment arm, and sum of this is overturning. What is the restoring effect? The restoring will be it's like the total vertical forces which are already computed. We will compute the moment arm for all the vertical forces from the same point, the point of overturning, and then we are able to take the sum of the moment, and restoring divided by the overturning moment should be larger than 2. And if it is not, then what will we do? We can increase the heel length, we can increase the weight of the wall. So all the forces which are responsible for increasing the restoring moment, we can enhance those. And sometimes there is restriction on, you cannot increase the heel length, then you cannot actually change that restriction yourself. The restriction needed to be remained there, and remaining part you can change. Then come the sliding force. So these are the same forces are responsible for sliding, and these forces are sliding forces include the vertical force. These are the resisting forces. The sliding force will be the lateral force, and these are the resisting force. Here the passive earth pressure is considered, but in overturning this is ignored. The passive earth pressure is a kind of pressure which will only be present when we feel that the soil in front of retaining wall is compressed. So when I say that okay, the retaining wall is moving on that side, it means that the soil is compressed, and yes, passive earth pressure is presence can be seen when the soil is compressed on that side. But in overturning case, the soil was not compressed. We have ignored there. And why I am not showing the surcharge here because the surcharge is actually here, and lateral effect of the surcharge is present, vertical effect is not present. Again the same point that when we are getting the restoring force, the our resisting force, we have to be very careful. I mean, surcharge sometimes can be very large force, and if we feel that surcharge practically, we should assume the condition that this maybe the surcharge, which is a live load, or a building which is not located there later on, then what will happen to the stability of the retaining wall? So always when we are when we are designing these retaining structures, we see the extreme conditions for these. Now the case is that you compute the factor of safety, and it comes out to be less than 1.5. Then you can increase the weight you can increase all these forces. But in case this factor of safety is not mm, change, then but it's a 1.1, or you are increasing the weight, but still it is less than 1.5. Now you can go for another option, and that option for controlling the sliding is sliding with the key. So the key is also provided at the base of the retaining wall. What you can see here, that exactly in the line of the stem, or even on, somehow we can not necessarily that here we provide, but it's good that you should go in the line with the stem. We can go with this small structures, a key. So by the provision of the key, lot of things are changing. Why? Because the bearing pressure will be now important, which were not computed initially, and we have to compute this bearing pressure, and the resisting force against the sliding now will change, because the bearing pressure is now present, and now in this case the resisting force will be needed to be recomputed. And the one thing is that the sliding force will also increase, though we are giving it for the controlling the sliding force, but due to the depth increase, the sliding force increases, but the resisting force increment is larger than this. I mean, this small increase in sliding force, we are not taking much onto our mind that oh, why it's increasing. So you can go with this, but at the same time we are happy with the larger resisting force. So how the resisting force is increased? So one thing is passive pressure is increased, and the vertical forces of course little increase, but it's little increase in the VC1 value. It's little increase. Then what is the thing that you feel that the resisting force is increased? So we have to compute all the forces. We have to consider now the bearing pressure under the footing. What happens that the bearing pressure in front of key and in the back of key now will play its role. So it's now you need to compute the bearing pressure under the retaining wall. And how you will compute? We know all the vertical forces. The sum of the vertical forces is V. And we know all the horizontal forces, and sum of the horizontal forces is H. Now we know that the resultant of these two, the vertical and horizontal forces, is R. And R is basically, R is the resultant of the forces, that is V square plus H square and whole under root. Just by the, you can compute it as many time in the mechanics we have been doing it, how to compute the resultant and its angle of the resultant, and we are able to find out the R value. Now the resultant is known, and the location of the resultant will also be computed. Actually it means that the resultant of all vertical force is acting not exactly in the middle of the face, but it is acting at the point where resultant is acting. And this point is can be computed from the point of the overturning, or this point we can compute the distance, this distance as x. This distance can be computed because x will be equal to the m restoring minus m overturning divided by the vertical forces. This will be the x distance, and m restoring minus m overturning, and then this factor divided by this v, we are able to find x. And what is the eccentricity? Basically this resultant is always away from the centroid. The reason I told you that this retaining wall is not like isolated footing, and this eccentricity means the distance between the point of application of resultant and the centroid of the footing, and that E will be computed by B by 2 minus x, B by 2 minus x, and x is computed by, as already I explained, is mr minus m overturning divided by v. So we have all the factors now, and we have to compute this pressure now. And now how this is why this E is important. You know that what is the pressure under the retaining wall. When the retaining wall is the force, only the force is acting, then it's P over A. But now the resultant V is actually not acting. The resultant force V is not acting in the middle of the base but away from that, and eccentricity is quite larger in the retaining wall. Retaining wall structures are critical structures, and it can be in 0.1 meter, even 0.4 meter. It's not like 110 millimeter. It can be even in meters. It means that we have to determine the pressure and pressure force plus moments also. The stresses under the soil, the base of the retaining wall, will be the sum of the compressive stresses plus the flexural stresses, where flexural stresses is My over I. So, if I say that the pressure on one side of the retaining wall is P over A plus My over I. What is the P? The pressure is P over A plus My over I. So, compressive stress plus flexural stress. So, P over A plus My over I. And on the other side, it's with negative. So, pressures on both sides is P over A plus minus My over I, plus minus My over I. So now I am writing here what is P, because the horizontal force is not in the with the is nothing to do with the soil force. So P is actually I am taking total as V, because horizontal is going not going to the soil, is not taking that have contributed its effect in shifting the vertical force and producing this resultant force. Okay. And P is V. Area, because I am taking the unit length of the wall, so area is B into 1. So it means that area is simply B. And what is the moment value? The moment value will be V total force multiplied by the eccentricity. And what is Y value? Yes, this is important. You know that we are plotting the pressure. This is the extreme side, this is the extreme side. So neutral axis is actually this of the footing is somewhere here. So Y is B by new extreme distance of this section under consideration. The footing section is B into 1 meter. So Y is B by 2, not 1 by 2. And moment of inertia I value is, now this is important, that I is BH cube over 12, but what is B? It is B or 1. So B is 1 and H cube is B cube. So 1 into B cube over 12. So B raised to power cube divided by 12 is moment of inertia. Now put down all the values and you will get the pressure. V over B, P over A, V over B plus My over I. M is this, Y is this, I is this. So we get, or you can say M over S. S is the section modulus, which is I over Y. And on the other side, it's V over B minus 6V over E. So we get the other force and the pressure on both sides. Now again, the important concern is that whether the pressure on the minimum pressure under the foundation is positive or negative. If both are positive, it means both are compressive. And if one is negative, it means that is a tensile, giving a tensile effect. And if it exceeds, if eccentricity exceed the B by 6, the central current distance, then it is possible that it is larger than, it may be negative pressure. But let's say we like the positive pressure and should be compressive. I will tell you later on that what to do in that case. But let's say the pressure in both the cases positive, you have this positive maximum pressure is Y1, the other pressure is Y2. Now take the line in the line with the key, where the key is ending, and put a line here and determine this area. This area is P1. The orange color area is the pressure in front of key. Now you determine the another force, the pressure in back of key. The area of this pressure ordinate into area will give you the force. So this is the P1 is the force in front of key, P2 is the force in the back of key. So reason is that we are investigating the sliding with key. So we have to determine these pressure in front and back of key. And how to determine these? These are not difficult. You can compute the ordinate at the interface where the key is ending. You can determine this interface y3, and P1 is a simple formula of a trapezoid. And we know that the total vertical force, basically V, is equal to the area of this pressure diagram. So P2 is V minus P1. Now, in the I was discussing that maybe it is possible that the minimum pressure is negative. So, if the answer is negative, means second ordinate is larger. Second ordinate is larger. So, if the second ordinate is larger, it means that answer is negative. So when you have computed all the pressures and you see that the force on the other side is negative already, so what to do in that case? So we can consider the alternate diagram. In the realistic, you can go for computing this and everything, but no need to do in-depth computation, and just consider an alternate diagram that is also based on the principles of mechanics and soil mechanics. That in that case you will consider this triangle zone, that this pressure is basically is giving the tension in the soil, and soil is not capable to take the tension. You can consider the alternate force diagram, which is a 3x. The base, the height is will be considered as 2v over 3x. What is v? V is the sum of the vertical force. What is x? X is the distance from the edge to the point of application of v. So you can compute all these ordinates. So in the case when you get the negative pressure or the tension in the soil, then consider this pressure diagram. Here it's shown in the orange color. Now the sliding with the key expressions are modified, and these expressions are P1 tangent of phi plus alpha into P2 plus H2, and you know that the last time it was just the passive earth pressure plus friction coefficient into the sum of vertical force, and here this time the it's more pressure, you will get larger value. Sliding is also slightly increased, but resisting force is more increased as compared with the previous ones, and all these parameters are explained here: force in front of key, force on and back of key, and passive earth pressure. So sum of all these give the resisting force, and you are able to compute the sliding. The factor of safety should be larger than 1.5, that's fine. Now again, the next case is the bearing. We have been investigating the bearing for the foundation design also. Bearing means that the pressure under the retaining wall for service load conditions. All the loading acting on the retaining wall, and the pressure I have already explained you how to compute the pressure. This pressure should not exceed the allowable bearing capacity of the soil. Soil safe bearing capacity of the soil. How much bearing capacity the geotechnical engineers are allowing us. So we can compute that pressure. Already we have computed. We will see the larger ordinate. Let's say the larger ordinate is some value, and that value is lesser or larger than bearing pressure, bearing capacity. So we will see that okay, there are first we will already actually all these things are already computed. Forces are known, resultant is known, and if you did not do it previously, because pressure is only computed when you investigate bearing or you provide the sliding with key. So we have to compute again. If the key is not provided, then we have to compute that pressure. So we will again compute the same diagram, and we will see the larger diagram. It should be, this pressure ordinate should be lesser than capacity. So actually factor of safety for bearing is allowable bearing only. This is not necessary, it should be it should larger than 1.2, it should be fine, I think, because already the factor of safety with the allowable bearing capacity of the soil is 3. So that's why here I am fine with the factor. Anything larger than 1.1, 1.2, it should be fine. Okay, so you compute the pressure under the retaining walls, and you see that what is the value of our bearing capacity at the maximum pressure. If it is not now in the case that the bearing capacity check fail, then you have to actually apply this, you have to increase the base of the footing. The bearing capacity check is failing, you have to increase the base of the footing. So in that case, you should see that what are the possibilities, and you have to remain within the possibilities. And in the case when the so in this case, you can say that the factor of safety for bearing will be maximum bearing pressure, which is in denominator, and the law of bearing. Maximum will change in this case. Now, all the checks, once these are satisfied, and the initial assumed dimensions will be revised. Next comes the structural design of the retaining wall. In the structural design of the retaining wall, first you need to understand the behavior of the retaining wall under the application of loadings. So, what is the bending of the retaining wall? We know that the retaining wall will bend like in this fashion. You mean the pressure due to the soil on the backfill side will try to push the wall on this left side. The larger amount of the backfill load, the backfill surcharge plus self weight, will try to push the wall on the downward side, and the upward load of the soil, which is larger, will try to push the wall on up. That's why it's called as a cantilever retaining wall, because all the parts of this retaining wall, the stem, the heel, and the toe, are behaving like cantilever. So one side is fixed, this side is fixed for all these components, and other side is free. So tension on the backfill side for the stem, tension on the top side for the heel, and tension on the bottom side for the toe is developed. We have to design this retaining wall, and the main steel will be provided on the tension side. So what about these loadings? How to compute these loads? Whether to follow the same loads or the new loads needed to be computed. So we have to recompute the loadings, because the height of the fill will be considered till the base, till this interface of the stem and the base, and the total load acting on the heel will be the UDL, the total load acting on the toe will be the soil pressures, and some pressures which are against the critical effect will be reduced, and the pressure which is basically enhancing our critical loadings will be increased, will be overloaded. So in this way we will compute the forces. So next part of this lecture we will discuss about the structural design of the retaining walls by computing all the forces and then providing the steel reinforcement. That will be the structural design, and you must first already finalize the dimensions of the retaining wall based on all the stability checks to go for the structural design of the retaining wall. Thank you very much.